have a sense of ownership. It's an interesting thing, you know? Like I say, like you would say, that's my camera, right? Ownership. This is my glasses, this is my jacket, this is my glass cover or whatever, this is my paper, this is my house. It's ownership, the things that belong to us. But this ownership does not end there. When we talk about our own bodies, it continues on the same lines. You know, we say that my chin, my hand, my feet, my hair. So it's all my. Internal organs is the same thing, isn't it? My heart, my liver, my kidney. You see this? My. Now, if your identity, I said to him, is your brain, why do you make the same claim when it comes to your brain? Why do you say, my brain? Do you understand what I'm getting? Then who are you? That's the question. Yeah? Who is the person claiming ownership of all this body? Who are you? That's interesting, isn't it? And you're someone else. The person that's making that claim is the true identity of the human, and that is the soul. And that cannot be explained by physical means. So it's hard to explain some things to these people, but the society needs this. The society needs the adab of Islam. The society needs the mentality of Islam. Otherwise it keeps on going, collapsing. So Bediüzzaman says, yeah, we have over 1,000 senses, emotions, and they are called Latife-i Rabbaniye. And he says, some of these emotions are so sensitive, they would die out even with one look. One look at haram, they die out. And you never get that emotion back again. It goes down. You lose it for good. That's why you see some alims, certain things open up to them. The veils are lifted from their eyes. They can see things we cannot see because they keep these emotions. But unfortunately, with most of us, one look, we lose some of them. And they are very valuable emotions. That's why we need to be extremely careful. In a hadith also, our noble Prophet says, one zina takes away 70 years of worship, salat. That's how dangerous it is. 70 years of worship. Ma'azallah, may Allah protect us. There's one story about Julaybib. I'm not going to keep you too much. I don't want you to be bored. I'm getting there, inshallah. Julaybib was a Sahabi, a young Sahabi in Medina. As I remember, he was around 19, 20, around those ages. He came to the noble Prophet one day, and there were other Sahabis next to him, people like Omar, Abu Bakr, And in front of them, he said to the Prophet, "O noble messenger, can you give me permission to commit adultery?" This is in the film, hadith books, it's real. Can you give me permission to commit zina? And the Sahabis around the Prophet, they got angry, They were trying to cover his mouth and everything. And he said, I cannot control myself. And then the Prophet said, let him speak. Don't do that. And he explained his case, and then the noble Prophet said, this is how we should be as Muslims too, when we approach people. We don't say, what are you doing, you kafir? What the hell? No, this is not Islam. This is not Islam. We gotta be gentle and kind, like the Prophet. Use logic. Even the Quran uses logic, ration, And you know what the Prophet said? He said, "Oh Julaybib, let me ask you a question. If someone thought this thing, this zina, about your sister, what would you do? Would you permit it?" He said, "Of course not, O Rasulullah. What about your, auntie? What about this? What about all the females in his family?" The Prophet counted. It's a Sahih Hadith. And he kept on saying the same thing. And then he said, "Oh Julaybib, when you commit this, don't forget you will be committing it with someone's sister, someone's mother, someone's auntie." And from that day on, they say Julaybib was one of the most chaste person amongst the young Sahabi, most decent person amongst the Sahabi. So we've got to use methodology, to pass our messages across. So I won't take it too long. In conclusion, brothers and sisters, it is sunnah to get married in Islam. Yeah, it is our Prophet's tradition. Through nikah, a man and a woman becomes halal to each other. This is in human nature. We're not like the monks either. Because not getting married opens a door to different bad, evil things. And as you see today with the problems with the Catholic Church, because it's unnatural. Allah created you that way, but He has shown you a halal path. This is in human nature, but how we go about it, about finding our partners and establishing a future together, is quite sensitive in Islam. It should be handled with extreme care so that we do not fall into harams and bring disgrace to the person we are dealing with. That's important too. And these days, unfortunately, sometimes I come across these things all the time. People on the outside in appearance who look, like perfect Muslims. They got the sunnah qiyafah with the big beard and everything, And I came across people like that a lot, They find partners, they make nikah. Oh, no need for, the legal nikah. Just, we can do imam nikah and that's it, no problem. 3 months later, they drop her, go find someone else. You know how big haram this is. The Persians have this, the Shiites. It's called the mut'a nikah. It's haram in Islam. You can't do this. When you find a partner and when you get married, your partnership is not only even for this life, it's for eternity. That's the way you should be looking at your partner. I am taking this person to be with for eternity. If you have anything else in the back of your mind, if it doesn't work out, we'll just get divorced, find something. That's haram. You can't get a marriage. You can't establish a marriage like that. So I'll just stop there. I won't take it too long. And if you guys have any questions in relation to the topic, or could be with outside of the topic, I'll try to address them. And thank you for your patience. I'll just say.
So does anyone have any questions on the topic or any other topics as well? Just feel free to ask. No question?
You see all females as your sisters.
How are you going to get married?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I made that point too, remember? Maybe there is a person that you have an intention, so that's a different story. Question? But until something like that happened, until you establish that spiritual bond, you should consider them as those.
Could you explain the hadith where the one person asked the Prophet whether what to do if you are not able to get married, or the things?
Allah Azza, that's very good. Allah be pleased with you. I jumped that, I skipped that, and that's a very important, especially for young men, because biologically, I think that it's more easier for females to control themselves. Men are created a bit different. So our noble Prophet says he encourages marriage, and he encourages to be very easy. These days, another mistake that we are making is, in order to get married, you're going to spend $30,000. The reception should be like this, the dress should be like that should be like that. That's pushing people away from marriage too. It should be done for easier means, and that's what the Prophet suggests. It should be done more smoothly without spending too much, having a good start with the family. But if you don't have the means at all, if you have no chance, or you're going to be a while before you get married, 3 years, 5 years, the Prophet suggests fasting. That's the hadith. senses, especially the nafs. Nafs goes under control completely during fasting. Our hearts become very tender, sensitive when we are hungry. We realize our weakness through fasting. So he suggests, fasting in abundance if you are in that situation. Yeah. There's one story about fasting, it's very interesting. It's said that when Allah first created the nafs, the human nafs, the carnal desire, it was the initial creation. And then Allah said to the nafs, "Who are you, who am I?" It's a famous narration. And the nafs said, "You are you and I am me." It's an automatic thing. It's ana, straight away. Me. We have this, Because Allah gave this ana to us for one reason. So we can make a comparison to his ana. Because he owns the true ana. Ours is like a little drop he gave to us. Free will, very small. And then Allah said, punish him. And they took the nafs, threw it into the fire, it was punished, they brought it back. And then Allah said, "Who are you, who am I?" Said the same thing, "You are you, I am me." 3 times in a row, the nafs was punished. And he did not turn away from his sin, And then on the 4th occasion, Allah said, "Starve him, can't give him any food." And the next day, they brought the nafs, and the nafs said, "You are my merciful Rabb, creator, and I am your humble servant." So starvation is a big weakness with us. All of the creatures on this world, you look everywhere, they work for this little thing here, just to fill it up. When you drive in a long way, I always, notice this, when I go to Sydney or something, when I look at all the cows, grazing, sheep and everything, I never see a cow standing like this. The head is always in the car, all day. They just eat. And all animals, all living beings, they're all after, filling this little pot here. It's the reality. Rizq, how important is rizq? That's why when you cut that, your nafs becomes weak and realizes it's weak. It becomes tender. It understands that I'm a humble servant of Allah. I shouldn't be sinning. I shouldn't be committing wrong things. Maybe perhaps that's why the Prophet advised that, inshallah. Okay. Anything else or?
Yeah.
Yes, brother.
I was speaking to a non-Muslim, like one of my friends at school, and he said, I asked him, like, don't you find it like disrespectful to like stare at a woman and whatnot? And he said, no, look at it this way. He's like, it's not my fault that they dress like this and stuff like this. And then I was like, I don't know what to say after that, because I knew myself it was disrespectful, but he thought it wasn't because it was their fault that they dressed the way they are. And I know what to say after that.
The ones who dress up.
Yeah, I believe.
Well, there's a fault in both sides, of course. He is right to a certain degree, but maybe that doesn't take the sin away from him.
Yeah.
In Sunnah, there's a rule in fiqh where it says first gaze, the first look, there's no sin, because it's just like this, But you don't say, "This is my first look." You're supposed to turn away straight away. So there is a sin there. Maybe 30-40% to the male who's looking, but maybe 60% to the person who dresses ugly. Because that's an invitation too, unfortunately. There's a basic fundamental rule in Islam. It goes something like this: "Es-sebebu kal-fa'il." And it means, whoever causes something, it is as if they are, acting it, committing it. And by dressing up like that, they are causing people to sin. People like produce alcohol factories and sell it. Now, can a person say, "I am drinking," but it's their fault? They should not be producing it. If they didn't produce it, I wasn't going to drink. No, that doesn't take the responsibility away from you. You're still supposed to refrain, stay away from it. Don't look. Okay.
Is there any questions from the ladies? Specific questions?
When no one asks questions, you know what I say? These guys know everything. What happens there? Tell me. I don't know.
Too many girls there.
Most of them are girls, are they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where do you study? Latrobe?
RMIT.
Well, brother, you can preserve your decency. You can preserve in any environment. But interactions that are not in your hands, if it's not controllable by you, there's no haram in that, because you have to sit there, you have to do your studies. There's no other option. But it's how you approach people. Inshallah. All right, thank you. Were you gonna ask something? Go for it before we go.
Okay,
Because you already lifted your hand. So
sorry, I thought that, yeah, what if you're a girl, right, and there's a guy, and you know that you can influence them to become a better person, can you still talk to them to just remind them to pray, like,
you mean from an Islamic point of view?
Yeah.
You want to make dawah to them, right?
Yeah, pretty much,
it's
yeah.
going
Are you
Islam.
allowed to talk to them and be like, pray?
Well, it is a it is a sensitive issue, but if there are people around, that's a different story. But if you're saying, we'll meet up in this cafe, and then try to explain Islam, that's not true. Because going to a target which is lawful, you cannot use a path that's unlawful. That's a law. That's a very important law of Islam. You cannot take a haram path to get to a halal target, aim, objective. So if there are people around, there's nothing wrong with that. You can sit there and discuss certain things, influence them. Inshallah. But just be careful with the others. Okay, thank you. Thank
I missed it.
He's like, that struck me, man. 70 years.
Alright. Good enough.